everyone, welcome back to Punchline, episode 7, Panty Panic Returns, which is, I guess telling you this is going to be a very, somewhat borderline etchy episode, but not really, from what I saw. But I have Skyline with me.
Hello, everyone.
Yep, and things are finally getting interesting, I would say. I mean, I think a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I was kind of hating on this show because it was just not moving. It was just not doing anything. But now today, I think it's actually going somewhere. At least hopefully, I think so. Right?
Yeah, I have pretty much the same vibe on it because, you watch other shows and you think, look, there's the theme. That's what they're exploring. And on this show, it's like, what's the theme? It's like, we know it's not panty shots. I mean, that's obvious. But it's like, what the hell kind of story are you telling? And it's slowly but surely starting to reveal something, like you said.
Because the other shows just have more of a progress. This one is kind of like it was stuck. It didn't know what it was doing. But we'll do our top 3 moments this week, and what you're in with mine is Yuta finally getting back his original body. Technically, sort of. It was kind of like a loop thing they're talking about, where he actually was the spirit we saw before was in his body when he first thought it was a ghost. So basically, he saw himself again. So kind of this cycle he was going through, I guess. So, but yeah, he finally got his body back, and it opens the door for a lot of hijinks to happen. Obviously he gets to interact with the girls finally.
I think the thing about it is Ubify or Uberfy. I think Uber is I think what they're actually trying to say there. Apparently, your spirit can be in that state for a prolonged period of time, whereas your body can't without cracking up. And so that's part of it. It's kind of like Superman has kryptonite. And if you're in a permanently ubified state, it's like all of your systems are like cranked up, so your lust is cranked up too. So just the barest panty shots enough to make you erupt from the nose.
Right, which is what we've seen with the power, the spike in strength. You can just like we saw with the what's her name, the main girl, Train's Juice, when she uses her power. Afterwards, she has to take this medicine because it exerts her body too much. So, but yeah, I thought it was funny seeing Yuta get his body back, and they kind of pieced together why. When he sees himself as a ghost, why he's putting all the talismans on the wall, obviously to prevent the ghost from getting his body, which is, originally we thought someone maybe evil took his body and they're using him, but actually it's himself, another timeline, something like that. But it's very interesting that you finally kind of pieced it together, and I guess the cat was telling him that you need to fix things, but don't interfere with everything, just fix small things to kind of change the direction of some history. But yeah, it's my number 3 anyway.
Number 3 for me is no matter how hard you try, you cannot escape the punchline, especially in spirit form. I mean, I thought it was kind of funny that, they go through that typical stumbling of trying to change the past to where they kind of have to, it's like, I got to remember what did I do or what happened then and there. And then you try to keep that from happening, but then something crops up to where now you're changing things because you're there. The thing is you want to create a stable time loop, but unless you know exactly how that time loop goes and how to not, like you said, do the small things, not the big stuff, if you're not creating a stable time loop, so everything's going to go wonky. So, he tries to keep his spirit form from avoiding seeing Ito.
Yeah.
And he ends up screwing that up royally. But he learns from that. He doesn't screw it up to the point to where he goes on to the second level and thus bringing about the asteroid, or if that's even the case anymore. But he just ends up messing that up. But he still learns from it, and that's actually pretty cool. I like that bit. But then he also graduates to Opie Grab.
Right, which since being discovered last week, technically he's a chick. I'm using quotations here. That maybe that's why she didn't freak out, but she did. In typical anime form, hits him. But yeah, it was funny seeing that. And like you said, he has to stop his ghost self from seeing the panties so they don't blow up the world again. I thought that was a funny addition to that we didn't see originally the first time when he was a ghost. So that little thing, I guess, like you said, he's changing little things here and there. But it's kind of nice. My number 2 is basically kind of the same thing we've been talking about. No change in the future. He can't do it whatsoever because obviously Ghost Cat is some kind of, I guess, maybe Time Lord thingy. He's like a boss of time, whatever. It's weird that he... Yeah, go ahead.
Being a Doctor Who fan, that...
Maybe, yeah.
That I mean, he is very very, very much like a Gallifreyan Time Lord. He's very much like Doctor Who in that respect. I'll tell you later. Don't worry about that for now. Just do this. I mean, I'm going to be shouty now. You got to do this bit. I mean, now that I think about it, yeah, he's a cat version of like Matt Smith or something like that.
And I also think it's kind of funny that the cat can also kick his physical body. I was like, what? I guess maybe it's a higher level, obviously, but that was a little weird. And the fact that he can see the ghost, he explained, well, we have some spiritual energy left over. I'm like, okay, I guess I thought it was kind of ass pull. They're just like, they want the cat to still be involved, so he has to be able to see the cat, but it's fine. I mean, it's no big deal, but the whole thing, he can't change timelines. Like, he was going to attack Ito's teacher that visited, but the cat was like, no, you can't do that.
Right.
And I guess, like, he was trying to explain, it has to happen, so it's like, but if, like, I was thinking, if he saves, or stops the teacher, then those girls that were on that video won't die. Isn't that for the greater good? But I guess not.
No. The things have to come to pass for a specific outcome. It's like you can't all of a sudden think that we can't knock over all the dominoes. Oh no, I like this particular domino. I don't want to get knocked over. You have to keep it in there because you're not going to get the entire picture spreading out when all the dominoes fall down.
Especially if this is like the start, and you have to have that first event to relay the other ones, I guess. Which is fine. I mean, I wouldn't expect him to change everything because that's. But I'm still curious how affecting the time will stop the meteor from falling. I'm like, isn't it already predestined that the meteor's going to hit regardless? How's he going to fix that?
Yeah, that's the thing I'm not entirely certain about myself. But hopefully by the next episode they'll start to come a little bit. They have a history of not being very clean with the narrative.
Right.
Not telling you everything. They're saving moments of revelation. So maybe that's the one that's coming up. Maybe that's his next level up.
Right. Probably.
Meteor punching.
Yeah. Probably. What was your number 2?
He has gone through this over 6 billion times. They just out-hahuri'd Hahuri.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they did.
Over 6 billion times. And the thing about it is this is apparently his last time. I don't know why they set the arbitrary time limit that this is the last time you get to attempt this other than for dramatic purposes. But he goes all Obi-Wan and Yoda and goes, there is another. There's another chance. There's the next you. And I'm like, what? So the only thing I can figure out is maybe, just maybe, the other 2 kids that they have involved in this that have grown, maybe they're the next shot. Maybe they're the next chance.
Right, yeah, it could make sense.
So you got over 12 billion more times to get it right.
Yeah, that is weird that, like you said, they put a cap on it. Like, okay, well, seven's that's it. You're done after this. Like, okay.
I guess you can only try people's patience so much. Even immortal beings have a breaking point, and apparently that's over 6 billion.
Yeah, pretty much. And for my number 1 this week is that they finally kind of explained why last week they said he was a girl. In fact, that I guess that we now know Yuta is actually a character named Pine, which we saw before. And I guess when they were kids, they were escaping the lab. A lightning bolt hit the car they're in, and somehow, some way, they all UVified at the same time, and all switched bodies. So they all kind of rotated into different bodies. So that's why Pine has this girl, this female body named Shioka, which was a friend of Strange Juice. So basically, all of them switched bodies. So you have like a weird thing going on where they're all not the same person they used to be. So again, that's why Yuta is a female right now. He's really a guy, but he's stuck in a girl's body, which is a little weird, I would say.
I have to admit, it's a plot point to where I have very, very little patience for when you get right down to it. It's just one of those things where like this. I just don't see the creative edge to it. It's kind of like in the beginning couple of episodes of Yamada-kun, they had the whole body swapping thing going around, but they figured it out like within the next scene, and it was over and done with. And I went, thank goodness for that. Or they made it like an old episode of Futurama where everyone got body swapped, and they had to get everyone in the chair, and they had to use mathematics, but it was all funny, and the mathematics actually proved out because that was one of their science fiction points.
Right. So I agree. Yeah. This whole reveal here is just I think it was like a little bit of a filler moment just to kind of explain some things. Which, I mean, they don't even explain anything. Like you said, even in the beginning, like even by basic character design, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. At all. I mean, if he was walking around in like a skirt or something, then you could tell. Like, give us a visual of, more of a visual of why we would be shocked about this. It's like it
Hmm.
really isn't when you have a character that doesn't look feminine whatsoever. It's like it's not really a big reveal, in my opinion. They should have kept the same design as she had when she was a little kid. That would have made more sense. But this is just like you said, it's just there because they want to make the character more interesting, which it really doesn't. I mean, if you think about it, I don't. I mean, to me, it makes no difference what gender he really is anymore. It's like
Yeah.
I'm not looking for this show to be a romance between him and Strange Juice at all because it's like it's not gonna work out because they're not the same. Especially this reveal, they're not the same person, which is fine.
Hmm.
But also, it would have been better if they kind of revealed maybe that Pine was maybe slightly a little bit evil or whatever because he did kill that scientist, in the
Yes.
lab.
Hmm.
So it's like, well, you to do the same where you go that far to kill someone. It's like I don't think so.
Maybe that's the point he really has to go back to prevent that from happening or something. Who knows what's
Right?
going
Yeah.
to.
But yeah, I agree. It's kind of silly to put that in there at the last minute. But what was your number one?
Well, one of the things I've liked about this is that they've centered everything around the Korai house, that one place that they all live together, and it's just a neat idea that you have kind of like massive amounts of time travel. You have world devastating events, but it all takes place in one small location. I kind of like that because it kind of tightens up all the weird complexities and some of the, the strange ways they've been able to tell the story and stuff like that. So, but to know that it's like they kind of have to form specific bonds. They have to get close to each other. And I'm thinking, what are they going to form a giant robot or something like that with an uber-fied Utah punch of that asteroid or something like that? But it's still a neat little point to where they just kind of keep everything self-contained in that one place.
Right. Almost. I think I said a couple episodes back that the house itself could be actual robot, like you were saying, and
Hmm.
have these 4 or 5 characters together that they kind of have to, like you said, get together and form a bond. Because the cat made a comment that they have to be closer together. Like
Hmm.
what they are now, it won't work. So they gotta be. So that like the fighting and all that has to happen because it's just how you build bonds with people. You gotta have arguments and all that. And
Hmm.
but yeah, so it's like I wouldn't put it past the show to do something like that where the house transforms into a robot because you do have a robot girl that lives there and her grandpa was there, so it's like obviously he has some kind of plan. And you got the
Yeah.
whole basement thing with all the motorcycles and everything, so
Hmm.
it's like I wouldn't put it past it to actually have to do that where the house transforms and they blow up the meteor.
Yeah,
Because
you mentioned you mentioned Time Lord Doctor Who. Maybe the house is the TARDIS or something like that. I
right.
don't.
Because I was going to say that too, that maybe the house itself is actually special because, like you said, the time travel elements seem to be
Hmm.
playing in that house. You know, every time he sees himself as a ghost, it's like you said, 6 billion times, which still kind of hurts my head thinking about it. But
Yeah. Well, it's a number.
yeah, they kind of just have some kind of number. Could have been like 3 or 4, 6 million, whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess got some random things here. What you wrote down here?
Ito's teacher is always going to be a pain in the ass, isn't he? I mean, it's like that absolutely just awful thing just kind of has to happen with the girls getting killed, the video getting made, Ito in danger, and different things like that. So I guess maybe he's got to be more creative. He just can't lay a finger on the guy, but he's maybe got to go back and find out, exactly how those bad turns came about.
Right, yeah, I almost want to say prevent Ito from maybe going to that school or something. It's a weird way he's got to fix it somehow. It's like, if he can do
But
that, but then,
without being direct.
right, because if he did that, then she wouldn't be going to the house with the other girls
Yeah.
probably. So it's like, yeah, it's gonna be tricky for him to figure out what he can change and what he can't change.
Hmm.
And what's your last thing here?
His big sister, who found him, of course, when he almost drowned in the river during that big lightning Ubify moment, sent him that costume. Lose not to reign, the costume of whoever that guy. I can never remember his name. It's an overly long, complicated name, and I can't remember it, but sent it to him. So apparently that's going to also take place in this particular iteration of whatever time loop they're going for. But he might have to go back to that moment and find out exactly what she knows.
Right, yeah, that's true.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I just call him knock off Spider-Man there. He's just another version of him. But yeah, it's interesting that she sent that suit to him. It's like, well, obviously now she's gonna be involved here in this plot. But with my big worry, we're getting close to the end here, and it's like, can they wrap it up to give me a satisfying ending, Probably not. I mean, I'm looking at something being a very rushed ending here, but we still got a couple episodes, so I guess it's kind of still early to say. But yeah. So I guess we'll see you guys next week for episode 8. See you guys next time.
Later on.